Let me tell you something right now. Growth doesn't come from staying comfortable. Growth comes when you get uncomfortable, when you step into places you've never been, when you do things that scare you a little bit. Because comfort is the enemy of greatness. Comfort is where dreams go to die. See, everybody wants success. Everybody wants to level up. But the truth is, not everybody's willing to go through what it takes to get there. Everybody wants the blessing, but nobody wants the breaking. Everybody wants the crown, but nobody wants the cross. That's why you see so many people stuck, because they're comfortable. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something that made you nervous? Something that challenged you, stretched you, or forced you to grow? Because if you can't remember, that means you've been stuck in the same zone for too long. And here's the hard truth. If you stay comfortable, you'll never discover what you're truly capable of. I remember when I first started chasing my dream of being a comedian. I was broke. I was sleeping in my car for 3 years. 3 whole years, man. There were nights I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I could have gone back home, got a regular job, lived safe. But I didn't, because I knew if I went back to comfort, I'd be giving up on what God put in me. See, sometimes God puts you in an uncomfortable situation on purpose, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The storm isn't there to destroy you. It's there to strengthen you. You can't get strong lifting feathers. You got to lift something heavy. Discomfort is the weight room of destiny. Most people pray for an easy life. But if you look at anyone who's successful, they didn't get there because it was easy. They got there because they were willing to go through the hard stuff. They were willing to be laughed at, doubted, rejected. They were willing to show up even when it didn't make sense. The secret to improving yourself, to constantly getting better, is to make peace with being uncomfortable. You've got to learn to see pain differently. When it hurts, it's working. Just like when you go to the gym. The soreness means your muscles are growing. The same goes for life. The more you push yourself beyond what's familiar, the more you expand who you are. But here's what happens. People hit discomfort and they back off. The minute life gets tough, they say, maybe this ain't for me. That's where most people lose. They think struggle means stop, but struggle doesn't mean stop. Struggle means start. It means you're entering new territory. It means you're breaking through. When you get uncomfortable, you discover a version of yourself you didn't know existed. That's when you find your resilience, your courage, your creativity. That's when God starts showing you who you really are. You can't find that version of yourself when everything is easy. You find it when everything is shaking. Think about a seed. Before it can grow, it has to be buried. It has to sit in the dark, in the dirt, under pressure. That's uncomfortable. But that pressure is what activates growth. That's how life works. Some of you right now feel buried. You feel stuck. You feel pressed down. But baby, you're not buried. You're planted. There's a difference. Buried means it's over. Planted means you're about to grow. And that's what discomfort does. It plants you in a position for growth. It pushes you to learn, to adapt, to evolve. You start reading more, praying more, thinking deeper. You start discovering new talents, new strengths. But you can only find them when you're pushed out of what's familiar. Let me tell you something. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If everything around you feels easy, you're not growing. The best thing you can do for your life is to get around people and situations that challenge you. Be around folks who make you think bigger, who stretch your potential. If everyone around you is comfortable, it's time to change your circle. Growth isn't about talent, it's about tolerance. Can you tolerate being uncomfortable long enough to get to your next level? Can you handle rejection without losing your passion? Can you face fear without backing down? That's what separates those who improve from those who stay the same. I've had moments in my career where I was terrified, stepping onto a new stage, hosting a show I'd never done before, walking into meetings with people who didn't believe in me. But I did it scared. You don't have to be fearless to grow. You just have to move despite the fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward while you're scared to death. You see, the devil loves comfort, because if he can keep you comfortable, he can keep you average. He can keep you small. But when you decide that you're done with comfort, that you're willing to be stretched, challenged, and tested, that's when you step into your calling. I tell people all the time, stop asking God to make things easier. Ask him to make you stronger. Stop asking for smaller problems. Ask for greater faith. Because when you grow stronger, when your faith grows deeper, when your mindset expands, life doesn't get easier, you just get better. And that's what improvement is all about, becoming better. Better at handling pressure, better at controlling your emotions, better at loving people, better at forgiving yourself. You're not supposed to stay the same. Growth is the point of life. When a baby outgrows its clothes, it's a sign it's developing. But what if the baby said, these clothes are comfortable. I don't want new oneness. That'd be crazy, right? Yet that's what adults do. We outgrow jobs, relationships, habits. But because they're comfortable, we stay stuck. Then we wonder why we feel empty. It's because comfort can't feed your purpose. There's greatness inside of you, but greatness doesn't come out in comfort. It comes out in challenge. Every time life shakes you, it's waking up something new inside you. Every time you're uncomfortable, it's because you're being upgraded. So if you're in a tough season right now, don't run from it. Don't complain about it. Learn from it. Grow through it. Because the struggle you're in today is producing the strength you'll need tomorrow. One day, you'll look back and realize that the moments that broke you were the moments that built you. The nights you cried were the nights you were being molded. The seasons that felt unbearable were the seasons that prepared you for everything you prayed for. So stop trying to avoid discomfort. Stop praying for everything to be easy. Instead, thank God for the growth. Because if it's uncomfortable, that means you're being stretched. And if you're being stretched, that means you're getting stronger. That's the secret to never stop improving yourself. You keep stepping into the unknown. You keep chasing growth. You keep trusting that every uncomfortable step is leading you closer to your destiny. Let me tell you something. Everything you'll ever become in life starts right up here in your mind. You can't live a life that's bigger than the thoughts you think. You can't build a future that your faith hasn't already seen. Every dream, every breakthrough, every victory you'll ever experience starts with believing bigger. Because your mind is the engine that drives your progress. And if that engine isn't tuned with faith, with vision, with positive expectation, then you're running on fumes. I learned a long time ago that if you want to change your life, you've got to first change the way you think. You see, the mind is like a factory. Every morning it's producing thoughts, and those thoughts shape your reality. If you keep sending fear, doubt, and limitation down the assembly line, that's exactly what your life will keep producing. But if you start sending faith, gratitude, and determination through that same factory, your whole world starts to change. There was a time when I couldn't see much beyond my situation. I was broke, struggling, and sleeping in my car. It felt like the dream I once believed in was gone. But then I realized something. I was waiting for my situation to change before I believed. And that's not how life works. You don't wait to see it before you believe it. You believe it until you see it. That shift, that moment I decided to think differently, changed everything. See, when you believe small, you live small. When you think limited, your life becomes limited. But the moment you start to believe bigger, something powerful happens. You start seeing opportunities that were invisible before. You start walking with a different energy. People feel that shift in you. You start attracting the kind of life you used to only dream about. But it's not easy because your mind will fight you. The world has programmed you to settle, to play safe, to think within what's realistic. But realistic doesn't change lives. You've got to start thinking outside of your limitations. You've got to look beyond where you are and picture where you're going. Every great person you admire, every successful man or woman, started by believing something about themselves that nobody else saw. The problem is most people let fear talk louder than faith. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? Faith says, but what if it does? Fear says you failed before. Faith says, that was training. Fear says, you're not qualified. Faith says, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You get to choose which voice you listen to. The size of your belief determines the size of your blessing. God can't give you what you can't believe for. If you only believe for small things, you limit what he can do in your life. But when you stretch your belief, when you say, I know this dream is bigger than me, but I believe it's possible, that's when heaven starts moving on your behalf. You got to protect your mind like a treasure. Stop letting negativity rent space in your head. Some of you are giving prime real estate to fear, doubt, and comparison. Thoughts that don't deserve to live there. You've got to start evicting those thoughts and make room for belief. Because whatever occupies your mind will eventually occupy your life. You want to improve yourself, start improving your thoughts. Stop saying, I can't. Stop saying, maybe next time. Replace that with, oh, well, I can. Much. You've got to speak victory even when you feel surrounded by defeat. You've got to talk faith even when fear is screaming. Because your words are the seeds that create your reality. When I was starting out in comedy, people told me it couldn't be done. They said I wasn't funny enough, smart enough, connected enough. But I didn't let their disbelief become my reality. I chose to believe bigger. I spoke where I was going before I got there. I visualized success before it happened. Every night, I'd close my eyes and picture myself standing on that big stage, audience laughing, cameras rolling, lights shining. And guess what? That's exactly how it played out. Because belief always precedes manifestation. You've got to understand, life doesn't respond to who you think you are. It responds to who you believe you are. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't believe in it, it's useless. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life. Wherever your thoughts go, your actions follow. If you keep saying, I'm stuck, you'll stay stuck. If you start saying, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm getting better, life starts shifting to match those words. There's a scripture that says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's not just poetry. That's truth. You are what you think you are. So stop letting old thinking trap you in old seasons. You can't take a broke mindset into a blessed future. You can't think like a victim and live like a victor. You've got to renew your mind daily. Feed it faith. Feed it positivity. Feed it vision. Sometimes the people around you won't understand your belief. They'll say, you've changed. And you know what? That's the point. You're supposed to. When your mind evolves, your circle might shrink, but your destiny expands. Don't shrink your belief to fit other people's comfort zone. Let them watch you grow. Let them see what happens when someone dares to believe beyond the limits. Every day you wake up, you get a choice: feed your faith or feed your fear. If you keep feeding fear, it'll grow so big that it chokes your dream. But if you feed your faith, it will give you the strength to chase that dream no matter what. Faith doesn't make things easy. It makes them possible. Believing bigger isn't arrogance. It's alignment. It's saying, I believe I was made for more. Not because I'm special, but because I'm created with purpose. You're not meant to live small. You're not meant to just survive. You're meant to thrive, to grow, to become a light for others. And that begins with how you think. So the next time your mind tells you it's too late, tell it you're just getting started. When your mind says you're not good enough, tell it, I've been chosen for something great. When it says you don't have what it takes, say, maybe not yet, but I will. Because your thoughts are shaping your tomorrow, one belief at a time. Every successful person you see is proof that belief works. They didn't wait until everything made sense. They believed when it didn't. They believed when there was no evidence, no encouragement, no applause. And that belief turned into action. And that action turned into transformation. You want to never stop improving yourself. Then never stop upgrading your belief. Every level you reach requires a new mindset. The thoughts that got you here won't take you there. You've got to keep stretching your faith. Keep seeing yourself as capable of more. So today I challenge you, think bigger, dream bigger, believe bigger. Because when your mind expands, your life follows. And once you start believing bigger, improvement isn't something you chase. It's something you naturally become. Let me tell you something. Most people never reach their potential, not because they lack talent, but because they quit moving when things get tough. They stop believing when the road gets rough. They slow down when life doesn't show them progress right away. But the truth is this: you've got to keep moving even when you're not there yet. That's the secret to improvement, success, and fulfillment. Life rewards consistency, not perfection. See, the problem with most of us is that we're addicted to results. We want to see evidence before we believe our effort is working. We start something, and when the results don't show up fast enough, we think it's not working. We quit. We switch lanes. We stop moving. But growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a long, sometimes quiet process. And the hardest part is trusting that process when you can't see the progress. Every great success story has a waiting season, a silent grind where nothing seems to be happening. You plant the seed, and for a while, there's no sign of life. The soil looks empty. But underneath, something powerful is happening. Roots are growing, foundation is forming. The same thing happens with you. When it looks like nothing's happening, that's when your roots are taking hold. That's when character is forming. That's when discipline, resilience, and strength are being built. When I first started in comedy, there were nights I thought I wasn't going to make it. Nights when only 2 people showed up to a show. Nights I drove hundreds of miles for $50 and a sandwich. I was tired, broke, and ready to give up. But something inside me said, keep moving, Steve. You're not there yet, but you're on the way. I didn't know when the breakthrough was coming, but I knew it wouldn't come if I stopped. And that's what faith really is, moving forward even when you can't see the finish line. Everybody talks about faith, but few live it. Faith isn't just believing God it's acting like he already has. It's taking the next step when the staircase is hidden. It's trusting that the direction you're walking in will lead you somewhere better, even if you can't see how. You've got to stop judging your progress by your position and start judging it by your persistence. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet. That's okay. The key word is yet. You're in motion, you're evolving, you're growing. Every day you keep moving, you're becoming the person capable of living that dream. The journey is shaping you for the destination. See, we all want the mountaintop, but nobody talks about the climb. The climb is where you learn patience, humility, and endurance. It's where you discover what you're made of. The climb is where you meet the version of yourself who can handle success when it finally comes. So don't despise the climb. Don't curse the waiting season. That's where your power is being built. Sometimes you'll move and not feel like you're moving. You'll give your best and it'll look like nothing's working. But that's an illusion. Every bit of effort you give is a deposit. You may not see the interest yet, but trust me, it's compounding. Life doesn't forget your consistency. Every small step you take is stacking up for a big breakthrough. Think about a train leaving the station. When it first starts, it's slow. It takes a lot of power just to get it rolling. But once it gains momentum, it's almost impossible to stop. That's how your journey works. The beginning feels heavy. Every step feels like a struggle. But once you keep moving, once momentum kicks in, doors start opening, opportunities start finding you, people start noticing your energy. The hard part is the start, but the secret is to stay in motion long enough to hit that flow. You see, people who never stop improving understand that motion beats motivation. You're not always going to feel inspired. You're not always going to wake up ready to conquer the world. But you've got to move anyway. You've got to work on those days when you don't feel like it, because those are the days that separate winners from wishers. Discipline will take you places that motivation can't. And sometimes when life knocks you down, the best you can do is crawl. That's okay too. Forward is forward, no matter the speed. The point isn't how fast you move. It's that you don't stop, because the moment you stop, you disconnect from your destiny. The world doesn't need another person who gave up right before the breakthrough. The world needs people who keep going even when everything says stop. I remember a time I was completely broke. I had 35 to my name and no plan. I could have stayed stuck, but I kept moving. I told myself, if I can just get through today, something good's coming. I didn't know how, I didn't have evidence, but I had faith. And that faith, that refusal to stop, opened doors I couldn't have imagined. Here's something you need to understand: progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent. You won't always get applause for your effort. You won't always see immediate rewards. But every time you choose to keep moving, you're building momentum, you're building faith, you're proving to the universe that you mean it. You've got to stop needing validation to keep going. Don't wait for people to notice your growth. Move in silence. Keep improving in private. Keep building in the dark. Because one day, when that breakthrough hits, it's going to look like you came out of nowhere. But you and God will know how long you were moving before the world saw it. Sometimes it'll feel like nothing's changing, but look closer. You're not who you used to be. You've learned things, you've endured things. You've built strength that wasn't there before. That's progress. That's improvement. The results will come. But first, you've got to stay in motion long enough to see them. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just keep taking steps. Every step, no matter how small, counts. Every day you stay consistent, you're rewriting your story. You're proving to yourself that you're unstoppable. So when you wake up and don't see results, remind yourself, I'm still on the way. When people doubt you, say, that's fine, I'm still on the way. When life gets heavy, whisper, I'm still on the way. Because that's the mindset of someone who never stops improving. At the end of the day, success is not about who gets there first. It's about who refuses to quit. You might be crawling, limping, or dragging yourself, but if you're moving, you're winning. Every champion you've ever admired had a season of invisibility where all they did was show up and move. They didn't let discouragement stop them. They didn't let failure define them. They just kept showing up. That's the message I want to leave you with. Keep moving, keep believing, keep going. Because as long as you're in motion, you're still in the game. And as long as you're in the game, God can still bless you, guide you, and elevate you. You may not be there yet, but you're closer than you think. One more step, one more day, one more try. That's all it takes. So don't stop now, because when you refuse to quit, you become unstoppable. And that's the secret. The people who never stop improving are simply the ones who never stop moving. Let me tell you something that most people never understand. You cannot grow alone. You can grind alone, you can hustle alone for a while, but you'll never truly rise to your highest potential until you learn from the people ahead of you. Growth doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through connection, through mentorship, through humility. And that's one of the biggest secrets to success, learning from those who've already walked the path you're trying to walk. See, pride will keep you broke. Pride will keep you stuck. Pride will make you think you know it all when in reality, you're just spinning your wheels. The reason most people stop improving is because they think they've arrived. They think, I already know enough, I've already done enough. But the truth is there's always someone who knows something you don't, who's been through something you haven't, who can show you something you can't yet see. And when you stay humble enough to learn, life keeps elevating you. When I was coming up, I had a lot of raw talent, but I didn't know the business. I didn't understand timing delivery or how to manage a career. I thought being funny was enough. But then I met people who had been doing this for years, men and women who had built something out of nothing. Instead of acting like I knew everything, I listened, I watched, I studied their every move, and that's when I started improving. You've got to realize success leaves clues. There's a blueprint for everything you want to achieve. Somebody has already done it or something close to it. But most people are too busy trying to prove they're right instead of trying to learn what works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can study success and save yourself years of trial and error. That's how smart people move. But here's the key. You've got to be willing to listen. That's the hardest part for most people. We live in a world where everyone wants to talk, but few want to listen. Everybody's trying to impress, not improve. And let me tell you, when your ego is louder than your hunger to learn, you stop growing. When you start learning from others, you get access to wisdom that money can't buy. You get perspective that experience alone might take decades to teach you. The people who've gone before you, they've already fallen into the holes you're walking toward. If you listen, they'll tell you where not to step. They'll save you from pain, from loss, from wasted years. That's what mentorship does. It collapses time. But learning from others isn't just about mentors. Sometimes your best teachers are your failures, your critics, even your enemies. Every person who crosses your path has something to teach you. Something about life, about patience, about resilience. The question is, are you willing to learn, or are you too focused on being right? When I was younger, I used to get offended when people criticized me. I'd take it personal. But as I got older, I realized something powerful. Feedback, even when it hurts, is information. You can't improve what you refuse to see. So now, when someone tells me I could do better, I don't get mad. I get motivated, because that's another opportunity to grow. Here's the thing, learning from others requires humility. You've got to be willing to admit that you don't know everything. You've got to be open enough to say, teach me, show me, help me see what I can't see. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because the strongest people in the world are the ones humble enough to learn. Every successful person I know, from actors to entrepreneurs to athletes, they all have one thing in common: they never stop being students. They're always learning, they read, they ask questions, they surround themselves with people who challenge them. Because they understand that improvement is not a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. You've got to be careful who you learn from, though. Because not everyone has your best interest at heart. Some people will project their fears onto you. They'll tell you, that can't be done, not because it's impossible, but because they couldn't do it. You've got to learn to separate advice from noise. Seek out people who inspire you, not people who limit you. Listen to those who've walked the talk, not the ones sitting on the sidelines criticizing. When you find someone who's ahead of you, don't just ask for success tips. Study their habits. Watch how they handle failure, how they deal with pressure, how they treat people. That's where the real lessons are. Success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become while achieving it. There's a proverb that says, "An iron sharpens iron." You've got to surround yourself with people who sharpen you. People who challenge your thinking, stretch your mindset, and force you to level up. If everyone around you agrees with you, you're in the wrong circle. You need people who push you to grow, because comfort zones don't produce greatness. Friction does. Sometimes learning from others means admitting you've been wrong. That's hard for a lot of people. We don't like to face our own blind spots. But the moment you say, "I don't know everything," the universe opens doors to new information. That humility is like a magnet for growth. I've had mentors who didn't even know they were mentoring me. I'd watch their interviews, study their journeys, listen to their stories. You don't always need a one-on-one relationship to learn. Sometimes you can learn from a distance. The key is to stay curious. Be a lifelong student. Always ask, what can I learn from this person, from this situation, from this moment? Here's something else. Learning from others also means paying it forward. The more you grow, the more you should share what you know. Because the greatest way to honor your teachers is to become one. When you help others grow, you keep that cycle of improvement alive. You don't just get better, you make the world better. So let me ask you, who are you learning from right now? Who are you listening to? Who's ahead of you, showing you the way? If you don't have someone like that, go find them. Read their books, watch their speeches, study their mindset. Because the moment you start learning intentionally, your life starts improving exponentially. Growth doesn't come from knowing, it comes from learning, it comes from being teachable. Every single day, you have an opportunity to either defend your limitations or expand your possibilities. The choice is yours. And remember, the people who never stop improving are the ones who never stop learning. They don't see others' success as competition, they see it as inspiration. They don't get intimidated by greatness, they get curious about it. They don't ask, why them? They ask, what can I learn from them? So, if you really want to grow, drop the ego, open your mind, and start learning from those ahead of you. Because wisdom doesn't come with age, it comes with humility. And once you master that, you'll realize that every person you meet, every experience you go through, every failure you face has something valuable to teach you. Never stop being a student. Never stop learning. Because the day you stop learning from others is the day you stop improving yourself. Let me tell you something. You can't drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. If you keep staring at what's behind you, you're going to crash into what's in front of you. And that's what too many people are doing with their lives. They're letting their past decide their future. They're letting yesterday's pain, yesterday's mistakes, and yesterday's disappointments steal the beauty of tomorrow's possibilities. But hear me when I say this, your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Everybody has something they wish they could change, a failure, a heartbreak, a bad decision, a missed opportunity. But you can't spend your life trying to rewrite what's already been written. What you can do is learn from it, grow from it, and use it as fuel to move forward. The only thing you can control is what you do next. I've made more mistakes than I can count. I've failed in ways that would make most people quit. I've lost money, lost friends, lost opportunities. But I never lost faith. You know why? Because I learned that failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Every setback is just a setup for a comeback. But you can't see that if you keep living in regret. I've met people who spend years stuck in guilt over something they can't undo. They say things like, I wish I hadn't wasted so much time, or I wish I had made a different choice. And I get it. I've been there. But what I learned is this regret is a prison, and freedom starts the moment you stop replaying the past and start rewriting your future. You can't change where you've been, but you can change where you're going. God doesn't care about who you were. He cares about who you're becoming. You might have messed up, but that doesn't cancel your purpose. You might have fallen, but that doesn't mean you're finished. Every great story has a plot twist, and sometimes that twist starts with pain. The beauty of life is that you can begin again. Today, right now, with the choices you make moving forward. You see, when you hold on to your past too tightly, you're carrying weight that was never meant for your next chapter. You can't climb higher if you're holding on to baggage. That's why you've got to release it. The anger, the guilt, the shame, the what ifs. Because the moment you release what's behind you, you make room for what's ahead. There's a reason the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. Because what's in front of you matters more than what's behind you. Your best days aren't back there, they're out in front of you. But you've got to believe that. You've got to make peace with your past so you can make progress toward your purpose. When I was struggling, broke, homeless, sleeping in my car, I could have given up. I could have said, it's too late for me. I've made too many bad choices. But I didn't. I told myself, yesterday was tough, but tomorrow can be different. I decided that my past would be my teacher, not my undertaker. And every day, I used what I'd been through as motivation to keep moving. You got to stop letting old chapters dictate your new ones. Maybe you had a failed relationship. That doesn't mean you're unworthy of love. Maybe you made a bad financial decision. That doesn't mean you're bad with money. Maybe you trusted the wrong people. That doesn't mean you can't trust again. Every mistake you've made has taught you something valuable. And if you learn from it, it becomes wisdom. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They're proof that you survived. They're reminders that you've overcome things that once tried to destroy you. That's strength. Don't hide your scars. Wear them proudly. Because they tell the world, I've been broken, but I'm still here. I've fallen, but I got back up. Here's what I know. God never wastes a hurt. Every painful thing you've been through can be used to help someone else. The things that broke you can become the things that build you. But that can only happen when you stop living in the shadow of yesterday. Every morning you wake up, you've been given a gift, a brand new 24 hours. It's like God saying, here's another chance. Let's try again. But what do most people do? They open that gift and start their day by reliving yesterday's pain. They replay old arguments, old regrets, old failures, and then they wonder why their life feels stuck. You can't start a new day with an old mindset. You've got to train yourself to think forward, speak forward, dream forward. Every day remind yourself that you are not your past. You are the lessons you learned from it. You are the strength you gained through it. You are the wisdom that came out of it. That's growth. That's evolution. The enemy of progress is self-doubt. And self-doubt is often born in the past, in the voices of people who told you that you weren't good enough, in the memories of moments where you failed. But let me tell you, you are not defined by what people said about you, or even by what you said about yourself back then. You are defined by what you decide to believe right now. You might have lost some battles, but you're still breathing, which means the war isn't over. You might have been counted out by others, but God can still count you in. You might feel behind, but life isn't a race, it's a journey. As long as you're moving forward, you're winning. I've lived long enough to know that your past doesn't disqualify you. It prepares you. Everything you've been through is part of the training for what's coming next. The pain made you more compassionate. The loss made you more grateful. The mistakes made you wiser. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. So stop letting yesterday define you. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know. Be proud of the fact that you're still here, still trying, still growing. Don't carry the old version of you into a new season. You've got new dreams to chase, new lessons to learn, new blessings to receive. When you start looking at life this way, improvement becomes natural because you stop trying to fix your past and start focusing on building your future. You stop saying, why did this happen to me? And start saying, what is this teaching me? That shift changes everything. So whatever happened, let it go. Don't let yesterday hold your joy hostage. Don't let your mistakes make you bitter. Don't let your pain make you fearful. Let it all make you wiser, stronger, and more determined to live better tomorrow. Tomorrow is a blank page. You get to write something new on it. You get to decide who you'll be, how you'll show up, what you'll believe. You can rewrite your story starting now because your past doesn't define your future. Your decisions do. And the decision to keep growing, to keep forgiving, to keep believing, that's the secret to never stop improving yourself.